It's midnight of Summerween, and I am starting Born at Midnight by C.C. Hunter. Here it goes. Let's see if I can get a page in or two before I fall asleep. Hello, and welcome to my Summerween Readathon vlog. I am ready for another readathon. I am exhausted. But I'm excited. I wanted to give you a little bit of an update before I really started my readathon vlogging. I finished the Tome Topple Challenge this past Friday, and then over the weekend, I was listening to A Distant Mirror, which is this nonfiction book that I started for the Tome Topple Challenge. However, I've kind of decided that I don't really like listening to it audiobook. I'd rather get the book itself because it's over 1,000 pages and it's super dense. I mean, the amount of information she puts in a sentence is a little overwhelming. And although I enjoy it, I feel like I would enjoy it better in an actual book that I could flip through. And I feel like when I'm listening to this, especially if I'm walking or doing something where my attention gets pulled away, I tend to rewind. So I'm gonna put A Distant Mirror aside for right now. So instead I started listening to Becoming by Michelle Obama, which I feel is a perfect audiobook, and I'm really enjoying that right now. It has nothing to do with my Summerween readathon, but I wanted to tell you anyways. And then I also read Hunger Games this weekend, which was a nice, quick, easy, delicious read. I'm really excited about this readathon, and I'm ready to start. I'm reading right now, and then I have so many things that I need to work on today, and there's just not enough time in the day. It's just so frustrating. Let's see what I am able to accomplish this week. Okay, so I'm about 162 pages into Born at Midnight. It's been a really nice, fun, quick read. The dialogue isn't horribly sophisticated. However, the story is really fun, and I'm enjoying the characters and kind of discovering more about them. It's about this girl named Kylie who, she gets set off to a summer camp because she gets in trouble with her parents, and she doesn't realize till she gets there that the summer camp is unique because only gifted people go there. Gifted meaning people with supernatural abilities of some sort. She's meeting her bunkmates Della and Miranda, who's a vampire and a witch. Of course, there's got to be a love triangle, so that's already starting to form. She doesn't quite know what her powers are yet, so this is interesting because she's trying to figure out who she is in the midst of all of this. Also, trying to kind of understand what's going on because this is all occurring so rapidly. She's confused at what the heck is happening to her in this place that she never would have known existed. So it's just fun. So now I'm gonna go to my room and turn off the lights and listen to Devil in the White City in the dark. And that should be a lot of fun. I'm excited to start listening to that before I head to sleep. Today actually flew by so quickly. I didn't do much vlogging. I had so many things on my list of things to do, and I did yoga, so that was good. And I read, did work. Did I do anything else of value? Not much. So tomorrow, hopefully, I'll get a little more accomplished. But I'll continue reading this and listening to Devil in the White City.
Trains a day entered or left Chicago. Many of these trains brought single young women who had never even seen a city, but now hoped to make one of the biggest and toughest their home. Never before in civilization have such numbers of young girls been suddenly released from the protection of the home and permitted to walk unattended upon the city streets and to work under alien roofs.
Good morning. It is day 2 of Summerween, and I'm out for my daily walk. I started listening to Devil in the White City last night. I'm going to have a bit of a challenge with the reading with the lights off thing because the second the lights go off, my brain goes, time for bed. And so I listened to it for probably about 20 minutes last night, and then I started getting really sleepy, and so I actually turned the light back on and went back to reading Born at Midnight. So I'm about page 245 of that one. It's a really easy, quick read. It's a lot of fun. There's some spelling errors and stuff that I feel like the editor didn't catch. Then there were a few areas where I think that the dialogue was kind of unnecessary, but I think that the writer was trying to get in the mindset of a 16-year-old. So, I guess it is what it is, but there were some things that I was like, you didn't need to say that. But overall, it's fun to have this cute little supernatural drama that you're learning about these different types of people, and I'm enjoying it. So I'm working my way through that. I'll get that book done today. And as far as listening to Devil in the White City in the dark, I'm going to be able to do it. I listened to it for about 40 minutes this morning when I woke up in the dark, but it wasn't like pitch black because it was daytime. But that's probably going to be my most difficult read just because my brain wants to sleep when it's dark. I need to do work and need to study actually because I'm taking an exam in a couple of weeks. So I've got to do a little bit of that and then I'll continue reading.
So Mom and I are kitty sitting because these poor kittens' mother got ran over, and so my aunt and her friend took them in, and while they're on vacation, guess who's watching them?
Oh, that one peed on my bed.
And they need to be fed like every 2 hours, and they let you know.
This one's the best feeder. Little gray guy. Look at his feet. What do you think of these kitties? Come on, get your sucking motion going. Come on, you haven't had any yet.
Andy, your favorite.
What are we doing? We're hunting a ghost. You know who does that? Crazy people. We are insane.
Okay, so it is the end of day 2, and I finished Born at Midnight. It was kind of one of those days where, when you know you just don't feel like doing too much. And so I just read. This is a 400-page book, and I got it done pretty darn quickly. You know, it's a young adult book, so there's not as many words on each page, and it reads very quickly. It was really enjoyable. It was fun. I like the stories. I like the characters a lot. I feel like the story was complex enough that it remained interesting. The only thing that I noticed was that sometimes the writing was a little, well, it felt very young adult. And I guess that's expected when it's a young adult novel. I needed something kind of light and playful, and this has definitely fulfilled the need for light and playful. So the next book I'm picking up is going to be a whole bunch of short stories. They sound like they will be difficult. Scary, but also emotionally difficult. So we'll see how that goes. The Shining hopefully is coming in the mail tomorrow or the day after. It should be coming in the mail tomorrow. So let's hope that gets here because I'll probably go through that book of short stories pretty quickly. Good morning. It is day 3 of Summerween, and I feel refreshed today. I know last night I was kind of like bleh out of it, but today I'm feeling good. I am waiting to head out to the field for a little bit. Until then, there's 17 stories in this, Cry Your Way Home. Maybe I'll read one of these really quickly while I'm waiting for my coworker. I wanted to say last night I was really out of energy, but as far as Born at Midnight went, I think I'm going to give it about a 3.75, which to me is actually pretty high rating. I consider a lot of the books that I gave 4 stars recently, and I felt like they were really good books, so 3.75 was great. I had a hard time putting this book down, which to me tells me it was a good book that I enjoyed. Maybe the reasons that I would have brought it down a little bit more than a 3.75 is because there were some editorial flaws, and that's not a big deal, but it was kind of like, you guys can put a little more effort into it, because I found them, and I found quite a few, so it was kind of like, And then the other thing was that some of the dialogue was unnecessary. I mean, there was a lot of slut-shaming, a few things that I just kind of thought, you didn't need to add that in, and it didn't really add to the story, so it wasn't necessary, but, you know, I think she's trying to get into the mind of 16-year-olds, and 16-year-olds can be a little harsh and thoughtless sometimes. So maybe that's sort of where she was going with it, although maybe I just didn't feel like it was necessary. I really had fun, and I'm actually really looking forward to the next 2 books. They were even more highly rated than this one, so maybe they're going to be even better, and then that's exciting for me. Once I have time to read those, I will definitely pick those up and read them. That's it. I was listening to Devil in the White City. I'm about 2 hours into it now. There was a competition to see if New York or Chicago was going to get the World's Fair, and Chicago did get the World's Fair, so now they're trying to start planning where they're going to have it. And then, of course, it went into the background of H.H. Holmes, the serial killer. It talked about his childhood and his upbringing, his education as a doctor, and now he's moving into Chicago, which he really loved because he was impressed by Chicago, even though it was like full of stink and stockyards. And, you know, Chicago was this really dirty city at the time. And I think he thought it was impressive because it was an easy place to get away with some of the things he wanted to get away with. The audiobook narrator is Scott Brick, and I think he's doing a great job of not only keeping the pace quick, which is nice for a nonfiction book, but also he definitely makes it seem kind of creepy when he talks about H.H. Holmes. So I think I'm getting that creep vibe, which is exactly what I need for Summerween. Stephen King The Shining just came in the mail, and I'm actually really happy because I don't know what the deal is. I'm not really enjoying Cry Your Way Home. It got really good reviews. People seem to love it, and I'm not loving it. I am on page 77. I think it's like 222 pages. I get the monsters she's trying to describe tend to be feelings like grief or fear or things like that, or emotions and whatnot. And there was one that I kind of liked, but for the most part, I'm just not enjoying these. I don't know what the deal is, so I'm gonna put this down for now. I'm gonna start reading The Shining, and maybe when I come back to it, I will feel differently. Okay, I guess there's two that I kind of liked. On the Other Side of the Door, everything changes, and this is about a girl committing suicide. And then the other one was This Is How I Die, and that one was about the person that's totally broken, has lived a horrible life, and through a new relationship they become whole again, and then, you know, kind of what comes from that. And that one was interesting. The rest of them, I'm going to start The Shining because I am very excited about reading this. I know I like Stephen King, and obviously I love the movie The Shining. I heard it's quite different from the book, or at least I heard there's a lot of things that are different than the book, so it'll be interesting to see what differences there are, because I've definitely seen The Shining many, many times. I worked for a good portion of the day, and then I actually did some studying, trying to get into school to get my teaching credentials. The Westby exam here in Washington is the exam you need to take. So, studying for exams, which is always fun, and working on reading. Not too much going on today, which is kind of nice. Not feeling like doing much anyways. Good morning, it is day 5. I am reading The Shining and drinking my coffee. I did not film yesterday because I actually woke up not feeling very good. However, I feel much better today, and I'm at page 155 in The Shining. The very first section, part 1, was a little slow moving for me. However, after that section, things picked up really well, and I'm at the point now where Jack is reshingling the roof at Overlook and gets stung by the wasps. And so far they've told their backstory, and Halloran explains to young Danny what The Shining is. Basically people who can read each other's thoughts, who can sometimes see the future, and Danny has The Shining, but very strongly. And so now we are moving into, it's still the fall, but we're in the Overlook. Then last night I listened to about an hour of Devil in the White City. H.H. Holmes has created his hotel. He's converting it into an actual hotel for when the World's Fair comes, so that he can invite unsuspecting young women to stay in the hotel. And he's hired a family to work for him. This family has a husband and a wife, the wife who he thinks is just gorgeous, and then an 8-year-old daughter, and then the wife's sister comes and stays with them as well. So he's just tickled pink that he has this family coming and staying with him, living in his hotel, working for him, pretty much completely under his control. I just forgot how much I love this book, so I'm definitely going to probably talk about this book a bit more in my September nonfiction recommendations, so keep an eye out for that, because this is definitely worthy of a recommendation. Okay, so it is day 6 of Summerween, and I've got to be honest, this week I just haven't felt like vlogging that much, so you're getting very little of me. I'm on page 250 of Stephen King's The Shining, and this has been one of those books that I can't tell whether or not it's just my own attitude this week, or if the stops and starts of this book are kind of deterring me. I feel like there are sections that I'm so enthralled and I love, and then I feel like there's sections where I'm kind of like, okay, let's move on to the next bit. And I don't know if that's me or the book. I read a couple more stories last night from Cry Your Way Home, and I read the story called Not My Circus, Not My Monkeys, The Elephant's Tale. I liked that story a lot. Then there was a story called S is for Soliloquy, which was kind of fun. The Judas Child, which was... yeah, that one was pretty creepy. I did like that one too. This could be a week where I'm just not enjoying books as much. Okay, so it is Saturday night, and I have actually finished Cry Your Way Home. They're mostly psychological. There's not really a ton that are scary. When I first started this, I probably would have given it like a 2-star, or even maybe a 1-star, because I just could not get into it. I was not enjoying it. However, I put it down and I started working on The Shining, and then yesterday I kind of picked it up again and read a few stories and found a few that I liked. A lot of the stories I liked okay. There were some that I really liked, and then there were some that I just couldn't get into. So, I mean, I guess it's a problem with different short story collections, is that it really depends on the story. Some of them you're going to like and some of them you're not. I give this probably about a 3 stars, maybe a 2.75, but probably a 3 stars because there were definitely some stories in here that I really liked. It is Sunday morning and I'm drinking my coffee, and I was doing some studying because with all this reading it's been hard to study, so I'm doing that. We're getting ready to head out to my family's house out in the country, have our Sunday drinks and hang out and spend some time with family, socially distanced. And then we'll do some shopping. I gotta go to Costco and then our favorite Asian market where we get all our goodies like our ramen and all our treats and stuff. I listened to Devil in the White City last night in the dark, and it was great. It's great. It's so great. I have not read any more of The Shining, but like I said, I'm around 360, I think, 350 or 360, and I will not get that finished today. I will not get Devil in the White City finished today, but I got 2 books completely done during this. So last time we went to the store, they were out of custard cakes. And life has been very sad ever since, so custard cakes are back. Morning, it is Monday. It's the day after Summerween and the last day of August, actually. I don't know where the heck this month went. I wanted to do a quick wrap up to sort of finish out my Summerween readathon. It was a lot of fun. My week wasn't amazing, so it was kind of nice to have something to distract myself from. It was just one of those weeks, you know, you have one of those weeks where you just kind of don't feel so great. But Summerween was really nice because I got to read some interesting books. I only finished 2, but I picked up The Shining, which is over 600 pages, so obviously that was going to take a while to read. I'm at page 492 of that, so I did pretty good. I got fairly far in it. Devil in the White City was my listen to in the dark book, and I knew I wasn't going to get this one done because for me listening to something in the dark was kind of difficult because I just kept getting tired and falling asleep. But it wasn't that the book was boring, it was just that lights go out and Amy goes out. That's what happens when you get old. I don't know. And The Shining by Stephen King, which I'm still working on. I don't know if it's just me, but it took me a while to get into this book. It was kind of like stop and go for me. Like there were parts that I really enjoyed in the beginning and then parts that I was like, move on. About a third of the way in the book, I got pulled in and I got into it, and ever since then it's just been very exciting. And I'm really enjoying the way that Stephen King builds fear, because it's not a normal type of fear, you know, it's not a normal type of horror. He's such a creative writer. He's so impressive. Can you imagine having his brain? I don't know what it's like up there. I can't imagine I actually want to know what it's like up there, but that was my recommended by the hosts and haunted house book. So I've pretty much got everything covered. Outside of that, I didn't do too much except we watched some episodes of Supernatural. And if you haven't seen Supernatural, it's a really fun show. There's definitely some creepy episodes. It starts out scarier than it is, I think, later on, but it was a good one to watch this week. I hope you enjoyed my Summerween vlog. I'm kind of looking forward to September because I don't have any readathons going on, and so I'm just going to kind of read a little more leisurely. And I hope you liked this. If you did, click the like button and subscribe now so you can see more of my readathon vlogs when they come up in the future. Whew, I need some coffee this morning, so I'm gonna go do that and talk to you later.